Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how top experts sell their ideas, their value, and their services. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want better clients, bigger deals, and higher fees. Clarity, my friends. Clarity. Without clarity, your marketing is not going anywhere, your sales is not going anywhere, and your business is not going anywhere. So, who better to welcome to the show than Mr. Pete Steege of B2B Clarity? Welcome to the show, my friend.
David, thank you so much. So great to be here.
So, I always like to start by asking about your professional journey that brought you to the work that you're doing today, and what were some interesting pit stops along the way?
You know, I've been a marketer for almost my whole career, but I actually started as an engineer. I like to say I was born an engineer and went into marketing. So my first job was at IBM, deep in their chip factory, and I've always loved the technical stuff. As I moved into my career, I found myself being drawn to the customer side of the equation, got my marketing degree. And in my marketing, I was always focused on technology companies or technology industries, some really big, some really small, different places in the world. So that's been a fun adventure for me for several decades. What I learned through doing that was, first of all, a couple of themes. One was, there's so many technology transitions that for the businesses that are in it, it's life or death, it's existential changes in their industry. And so I kind of experienced a lot of that, which kind of gives me some really good insight to the B2B tech companies and what they're dealing with as they're starting businesses or trying to grow businesses. And then the other common thing is I found that these technological companies tend to be run by people that are really good at this technology stuff or whatever it is they're an expert in. And they often just really don't know what to do with this marketing thing. And they often start talking about how everything works, and they miss the meaning of what they're doing. And so I decided to start a business to help these tech leaders kind of figure out how to do this marketing thing. I talk about building marketing engines for them, helping them build a marketing engine. And it's a lot around simplicity, clarity, like you said, but it's also around meaning and finding a purpose for their customers to engage with them that's often missing in these technology companies.
So much so. Oh my gosh. And we have so much to talk about, because I know that there is a lot of times you would hire a marketing firm and you're thinking tactics, and tactics without an underlying strategy. And I think, to your point, the third layer is a meaningful strategy. You can hire tactics, and tactics are commoditized, and the AI robots are going to take over most of the tactical stuff that's challenging. But I think the human piece and the meaning piece is what's going to be the currency of marketing today, and certainly more and more so in the future. So let's start. I love this conversation about the myths or the mistakes that some tech CEOs, what are the mistakes they make? What are the myths that they're buying into when it comes to marketing?
So I think that what I find is where we usually start when I work with a client is who it is they can help. They don't niche enough. One of my favorite stories is talking to a prospect and asking him who his target market was. And he said, people that make software, which maybe is more than half of businesses. So that's a big issue, that they're focused so much on what they can do that they feel like the more people that can possibly use that, the wider the lens on the people this can help, the better. And as you know, that just waters down everything. The story, the strategy, the choice of tactics, all of that gets smushy when you don't have very clear understanding of who we're doing this for.
So let's dig into that one. I know we've got several more to talk about. My experience with this is with obviously solopreneurs and consultants and professional services firms, but it's the same hesitation, right? Everyone needs leadership. Everyone needs strategy. Everyone needs customer service, whatever the topic is, whatever the subject matter is. And a failure to make a decision, we have to be a little bit of a therapist, don't we? To kind of uncover, why are we clinging on to this enormously, impossibly wide net when, the cliche is the riches are in the niches, and it's a cliche because it's consistently true. How do you coach a CEO in the early part of an engagement to let go of that wider is better mindset and to show them the opportunities that are very tangible and very clear to somebody with your experience that they might not be able to see yet?
I have a tool called the truth chain that we often use to get at this. And the truth chain is essentially the chain, the linkage between that ideal client, which I like to call, instead of a target customer, a bullseye customer, and the company, who they are, what they do that's so special, their superpower, right? So we build the chain. We start by defining what it is that they do. Why do they get up every day? So it's really almost a mission-y kind of a conversation. It's not marketing, it's purpose. And they have something that's special. They have a reason that they're excited about. We identify that. And then we go to the other end of the chain and identify who is that bullseye customer that when they hear about your product, they say, "Oh my gosh, where have you been all my life?" And there's no selling involved. It just happens, right? And there's some education there, I guess, but we're able to come to the agreement that if I can find the target that absolutely loves what I do and needs it, then we're going to win with those relationships. And those winning relationships are going to spill over into adjacent customers and prospects. And that's so much better. Then we talk about the whole watering it down effect. What if we don't do that? What if we say, we can help all these people? Then what's your story? It's going to be so vague and unmotivating and uninspiring that by the time we get done with that process, what happens a lot, I'm happy to say, is they get really excited because they can hear themselves in that story of how they're helping that client, and they feel empowered by it. They get excited. They see the value of, that's what we do, and that's who we do it for.
So it sounds like a lot of this initial work is introspective reflections. So for example, do you sometimes take them down the path of who has been your very best fit client, or the most profitable client, or the client that keeps coming back to you because they love what you do, they love the work that you deliver, they love the alignment that they're feeling with what your company does? So I guess the question is, are we looking for pattern recognition? Are we looking to clone our very best, most profitable, most long-standing clients? What are the various elements of, the glimmers that they can get that go, man, if I could clone, if I had 5 Pete Steggies, I could conquer the world. If I had, all my clients were like David Newman, life would be such a dream. How do we tap into some of their experiential, visceral recognition of when everything is clicking along? Man, I want more of that.
I find that what works for me is, and for them, is that I kind of have a data dump from them. I ask them a bunch of questions. Tell me about customers that are, the really good customers. Tell me about customers that aren't good. Tell me about your products, your capabilities. And I kind of feel like that's my superpower, is I'm really good at seeing the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And I don't rely on them to make sense of it. As we talk about it, I'm able to help them find patterns and, see what's really important and clarify that. Another important part about that, David, is I can help with people, CEOs that are humble. So the ones that get the most from working with me are the ones that they've beat their head against the wall of marketing long enough, or the challenges they've had, that they're saying, I need somebody. I'm willing to trust somebody that can help me walk through this, right? And so that humility is really, really a key for me as far as businesses that are ready to change things and improve.
Hang on. Let's back up the truck. Beep, 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 beep. Listen, I have a brand new sales book out there. You got to get your hands on it. It is awesome. It is amazing. It is fantastic. It is useful, practical, actionable, and a ton of bonuses are waiting for you over at doitselling.com. Grab your copy right now and grab all the bonuses, goodies, companion tools, and downloads that go with the book. You'll love it. I guarantee it. Now, you also have written a fantastic book called On Purpose, and the subtitle is The CEO's Guide to Marketing with Meaning, which sounds kind of squishy, kind of like woo-woo. And I know that you deal exclusively with non-squishy, non-woo-woo, sometimes very hard-nosed, results-focused CEOs. Talk about what is that role of meaning and what does meaning matter in their marketing?
I believe that marketing has a pretty simple definition. There's a lot of definitions out there, and some of them are pretty complex. I believe marketing is the creation and building of relationships between customers and your business. That's it. That's the job of marketing. And relationships happen for a reason. Even if I'm just going to the grocery store and I buy something from the end aisle because it has the right price and is a product I like, I had to want that, right? There's a motive there. There's a purpose. So marketing that works finds a reason for your prospect to engage with you. By meaning, that's what I'm talking about, is if you're focused on the activities and the transactions and the things without having first attached them to that truth chain we were talking about, then your prospect doesn't care because you're not talking about anything that's important to them. And you really aren't getting anything from it because you're talking about whatever is convenient, which isn't where you can help them. So I find that meaning in marketing is actually, it's central to everything. It's really the strategy. It's tied to mission. It's tied to brand. All those different terms are related to it. But I found that meaning is a mindset, and that CEOs and founders that have meaning in their marketing, they do three things different than other companies. To share those three things.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear. What are those three magical things, those three superpowers?
The first is authenticity. Tell the truth. And that's that transparency about your value for them, right? And them seeing and knowing, not only consciously, but them knowing that you're not trying to pull something on them. I think we've all felt that I'm being manipulated by this email, or I'm being manipulated by this video, whatever it might be. It may just be a little voice, but that gets in the way of attraction from your client. The other thing about authenticity is its transparency. An example there is, let's say your team doesn't know why you're in business, doesn't know what your value is to the end customer. Question comes up, or a service request, whatever it might be. They have to stop and think, okay, now what am I supposed to say now? And it's this detached rationalization. It's not real. Whereas if you've brought your team along with this purpose and this meaning for your business and for your clients, even more important, then they can authentically respond with assistance, with the knowledge, whatever. And they don't have to wait. Everything's faster. People can move forward in your business without having to, coordinate, because everybody knows the story, right? All those are aspects of that authenticity. So that's the first one. The second one is being intentional. And in marketing, what that looks like is less is more. There are thousands of marketing tactics that companies can choose from. And sadly, a lot of companies see how many they can pick, or how many they can get started, how many plates they can get spinning, right? Because activity feels good, it looks good. And especially, if these tech people that are really good at this other thing than marketing, it seems kind of free, right? I can sign up for this app and wow, Well, there's a cost beyond money, and it's mind share for your team and for your clients too, right? So I'm a big believer in simplifying what you're doing. Start with the 2 or 3 most important tactics that you understand from your strategy that is where your customer is getting stuck and getting your goodness. And you focus first on those things and you just do them really well. And you follow through and you finish. I've worked in several sizes of organizations, and I remember 100+ person marketing organization I worked in that we had these huge, exciting moonshot marketing campaigns. And more often than not, about 12 months into the 18-month program, it just quietly gets shut down, and all that work just was a waste. So it's not just about small startups. It's a problem with marketing in general, people biting off more than they can chew. So that's the second superpower is focus, intention, do less, and do it really well. And then the third one is generosity. Be generous. And this is my favorite, by the way, because I think it's the one that's the least intuitive for business people. But it's really about the fact that it's not about you. It's not about your business. Your clients, prospects, they really don't care about you. They care about how you can help them solve their problem. And if you can embrace that, then you show up as a giver rather than a taker. My favorite example of that is, what's one of the most common first impressions? It's that sales call. And clients that have their sales team go out and ask for the attention of their prospect. Hey, can you get on the phone with me? Hey, let's do this. Hey, this. You've just made the very first interaction, the first impression you're taking from them. Whether they consciously realize it or not, that's what's going on, right? Versus a first engagement that says, hey, I thought of you in your situation. Here's some information that might be helpful. Here's a tool that I think you might be able to value. Now your first impression is giving. Your first interaction is a gift, right? I think that's central to meaningful marketing, is having that generosity in your engagement from the very beginning. So those 3 things together, I believe, change the dynamic, and you're no longer in the race to the bottom of how many times can I send an email to them? How many impressions can I bombard them with? That stuff takes care of itself if you focus on that meaning first.
Yes. Oh my gosh, those are so great. I mean, we could spend a whole show on authenticity. We can spend a whole show on being intentional, and we can certainly spend a whole show on this concept of generosity. And maybe we should. Maybe we should make this like a whole series. Just you and me kind of knocking out all this crazy stuff. So all 3 of these words and concepts to me are connection concepts and their relationship concepts, as opposed to transactional, surface level, commercial. They're knocking on my door. They want something from me. And it's funny, we've all received, and I'm sure that your clients have sent, and I know my clients have sent, hey, show me the initial prospecting email. It's like, hey, Bob, they literally say, can I take 15 minutes of your time and show you what we do? Now, there's like 5 things wrong with that one sentence, right? Can I show you what we do? Well, who's that helping, right? Every single one of those words, phrases, and concepts this is about me and my self-interest. And I'm asking you to give up some of your precious time, attention, and bandwidth so I can do a dog and pony show, and I can go to my sales manager and say, hey, boss, I got an appointment. Hey, boss, we booked a demo. And you're doing this almost sort of against their will. And there's an adversarial mood to this. And this is where prospects show up. And I know that CEOs and sales professionals hate this. They go, okay, you got 15 minutes, show me your stuff. And now it's totally right. It's totally offense and defense. It's thrust and parry. It is a terrible, terrible way to start any kind of business relationship. So let's dig into authenticity and being intentional and generosity. But let's maybe take it into a prospecting or a lead generation tactical lens. So initial outreach, and I'm guessing most of these tech CEOs, they want appointments, demos, sales, right? They want more at bats. They want more prospects. They want to have a reliable pipeline. They want your help in building this sort of lead generation conversion machine. They're doing it wrong right now, which is why they're not getting the results that they want. How do we start making some of these shifts? And if you want to go one at a time about authenticity shift or intentionality shift or generosity shift, that's cool. If they're all bundled together, that's also cool. But how do we start to change their outlook on if we want to grow the business, if we want to increase our revenue, if we want to increase our market share? We really have to start with that initial tap on the shoulder or that initial invitation or that initial conversation. And it needs to be completely different than what we've been doing before. How do you take them down that journey of thinking through it?
The very first thing that we almost always talk about is this is going to take a little time. We're going to get leads next month. Well, let's talk about the big opportunity, right? And it really is, the silver bullet phenomenon where it's so common for CEOs to be dazzled by a vendor that says, oh, we're going to get you this many leads by 90 days. And the problem with that is it's this one tactic and it's one shot. And all that does is confuse and annoy your prospects because they're not going to remember that one touch, right? So we start with that there's a time frame here. And that back to the concept of a marketing engine, that helps with that, right? This is an ecosystem we're going to build. A key to me for making this work, and almost every company I work with, is a content strategy. So we've decided how we can help this prospect. We've said we want to be generous. One of the best ways to be generous at scale is to come up with valuable content. It might be information, could be guide or a video. It might be a methodology. It might be an experience like an assessment or a consultation. And all those things, what they have in common is they're net positive for that. That helps your client do things better, easier, faster that they needed to do, and you haven't charged them anything. So you're giving them that for free. To me, that's one of the key mechanisms to start a process, is to get off the treadmill of noise and be the one of the few that shows up with this value. And again, if for your target prospect, if you know them and you find that value, which everybody can, we have no problem coming up with topics and information because that's where they live, right? And when we do that, we're the quieter message, but we find a way through with prospects because they start seeing, oh my gosh, this is good for me. This is a positive, right? You're not winning over anything. You're getting out of the way of the value, right? So I find that it's a lot about content strategy. Wouldn't it be awesome if you're in a meeting and the conversation was, how long can we give stuff away before we have to charge them? Wouldn't that be cool? Because that is how you win in the end. Because in this crazy world, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk about what AI is bringing us all, the noise level, we all know it, right? The noise level is just so high. So the win is to play the long game, meaning relationship. And that's how you cut through the crowd. And then you do need tactics that systematize that and scale it and target it so you are getting your valuable message to the right people at the right time and enough times. You do have to do that. But it's all back to what you said. It's not tactic first. It's first understand that valuable gift and delivering it. And then you go to the tactics and say, now, how do we do that effectively, efficiently, at scale?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So good. I remember this actually takes me back to one of my early clients. In his email signature file, he had 4 words that really made an impression on me. It was radically useful, radically generous. And literally, this was baked into his email signature file. That's how he wanted to position his professional services firm.
Yes.
And he made decisions based on radically useful, radically generous. He invited clients, he invited prospects to become clients with the mantra and the philosophy of radically useful and radically generous. And even, the whole client life cycle, when it was time to renew or do another project, or, even the client service, in other words, after the sale, the client service, his mantra was radically useful, radically generous. So this concept of generous marketing, you believe in it, I believe in it. To some people listening, they might go, well, wait a minute, that's an oxymoron. Isn't marketing about me getting more sales, about me getting more people to buy what it is that we're selling? Talk about the oxymoron of generous marketing and how that really works on a practical level.
It really is as simple as understanding it's not about you. If you're stuck on saying, I'm going to inflict marketing on my audience, if that's the perspective you have, to be honest, David, I kind of run away from that prospect. I can't help them, because that, back to the humility thing, right? The ones that want to change the world and want to, succeed, not at the cost of everybody else, maybe they're thinking that way, but they're happy to think another way once they're shown the other path.
Now let's look at, if we were to self-diagnose. So for the CEOs, the professional services firm owners, the consulting firm owners who might be listening, what are some warning signs that a business is not practicing meaningful marketing? So what are they experiencing? What are the symptoms? What's going on with their marketing and sales and their pipeline that says, you're probably not practicing meaningful marketing?
The most common thing is right up front. Usually one of the reasons that we are talking is they say, Pete, my message is so confusing. And then we look at their message and we look at their website, product this, product that, capability this, capability that. So I need time, because I have to explain all the incredible complexity of what we can do for you. And their problem, in this easy solution, we get it now because we've been talking about it for a while. It's stop talking about all the things you can do, and refocus on the simple problems that your clients are thinking about as you're talking. They're toning you out and thinking about the worries they have. Easy fix, but that's the first thing. They need to talk about the problems they're solving versus all the things they do. Another one I kind of mentioned, and that is the idea of the silver bullet, that there's that magic bean, there's that thing that this vendor is telling me about that, oh my gosh, those Google ads, they are going to kill it. On and on. Anyone, email, you name it, all the different strategies, that any one thing is that easy way to do marketing. And you just apply that. A lot of people doing that.
Well, and I think, one of the things that I love about you and your business and your integrity is when people go to your website, it is extremely clear, right? So the big headline, and the folks want to tag along here with me, it's B2B-Clarity.com, marketing for tech B2B CEOs. If you're not that person, Pete's probably not going to be the ideal fit. And then right below that, helping CEOs without a marketing leader. So 3 scenarios. And again, none of this is about how amazing you are, but scenario number 1, no marketing staff. You hire marketing vendors one after another with consistently disappointing results, and you feel you're starting over each time. It's like, now, if this is me, because I'm a B2B CEO, not tech necessarily, I'm like, oh my God, that's it. Stop. I got to call this guy because he is singing my song. He's calling out my exact situation. That is one small little sentence. Column number 2, right? You have a junior marketer on the team. They can do marketing, but don't know what's important or how to do it well. You struggle to provide the direction that they need. Now, again, I'm putting myself in the chair of that person. It's like, this guy has X-ray vision. Pete must have installed video cameras in our offices. He must have installed listening devices on our cell phones, because he knows exactly what I'm up against. And that transparency, that authenticity, that message that resonates with their situation, their headaches, their problems, their aspirations, their goals, really, really powerful. I'm going to do one more because it's in column 3. Hey, you have a VP of sales and marketing, but that VP lacks marketing experience and the depth. And so marketing is avoided. Marketing is an afterthought that under-delivers. And again, I'm putting myself in the role. It's like, hey, I hired this guy, 6 months ago. We haven't moved the needle on anything. This is like the least enthusiastic marketing guy. Maybe he's my brother-in-law. Maybe he's some guy that I found, online somewhere through Indeed.com. This guy is under-delivering. He needs some support. He needs some help. So maybe talk us through what are some of the challenges in each of those 3 scenarios. No marketing staff is bucket 1. Junior marketer on the team, meaning a doer, but not really a strategist. And VP of sales and marketing, kind of like the reluctant VP of marketing who doesn't really get their arms around everything that needs to happen. How do you tell that story to each of those 3 CEOs? And what are some of the buying triggers that they go, oh, Pete, thank God I found you. This is exactly what we need. So give us just a little bit of a flavor of each one of those 3.
Yeah, thank you. And the first scenario where they don't have anybody in marketing, what a lonely situation, right? You need to do marketing and you're clueless, you don't know what to do. What I find is the trigger there is they have serial marketing vendors. They've hired 3 or 4 guys or people in a row. And every time they make these big promises, they pay them the money and the results aren't what they want. And so they're frankly, they're pretty skeptical, right? They feel like they've been burned. So that's a lot about me making the case that, not everybody's going to give you that disappointing result, and let's solve the problem more holistically, right? The second category, very common, different levels of this entry-level marketing person.
Yeah.
And, what I like to say to them is, the more productive they are, actually, the more dangerous they are, because if they don't know the right thing to do, back to the list of 9,000 tactics, and that the tactics you choose need to work together, you actually can set yourself back if that person is prolific and is really busy, if they don't know what to do. And that CEO knows in their heart, not only don't I know marketing, I know even less what to tell a marketer to do. Right. Yeah. So that's a need for sure. And then the last one is actually pretty common, where the VP of sales and marketing is a salesperson and somebody has to own marketing. So they get that added to their job description. I'm working with a client right now, and my number one value to that client is coaching that sales and marketing VP on how to manage their marketing manager that we hired. That's the priority for them with me right now, is making that relationship, making that person capable of delivering on that.
Yeah. And it's funny, that third scenario is very similar to when a small company or a growing company, they put HR under the finance function. And they have like a CFO, and the CFO is the de facto VP of HR. Well, CEO friends, I'll tell you, your CFO is probably the worst possible HR person. And you should not be putting HR under the CFO any more than you should be putting marketing under your VP of sales, right? Different skill set, different attitude, different superpowers. And this is why they're getting subpar results, because they're kind of, the old joke about, what is it? If you judge a squirrel on their ability to fly, that's going to always be a very underperforming squirrel, because you got to get a bird that knows how to fly, not a squirrel who knows how to fly.
And sales and marketing are famously, sorts of conflict between the two.
Oh, yes.
So, there are solutions to that. Part of this meaning story and getting everybody on the same page helps that.
Yes.
But that is another issue with that relationship when you have marketing reporting to sales. You really have to watch that, because you need that checks and balance for a healthy business.
Yes, I know. Terrific episode here, but have you seen our latest web training? Oh my goodness, pop over there right now, or as soon as you're done listening to this episode, it's doitmarketing.com/webinar. See you over there.
back to the good stuff.
I want to talk about your integrated product suite, but you mentioned something earlier that I think we have to address, which is artificial intelligence. One of your sayings is that, AI is going to break marketing. So tell us what you mean and what can leaders do about that so that AI doesn't break marketing?
Think about what we were talking about earlier with content and all the noise. It's happening so fast that in a few months or a year or two, AI will be able to create pretty much any content that people are reading today. A video of me talking to you could be totally artificially created at a press of a button, right? What that means is there's going to be a 10x, 100x, 1000x growth in the content in your inboxes, email, social, wherever you get your information. It's going to be totally overwhelming for your attention span. How much more attention will our prospects have? No more attention. They're still human. They still have to suck in what they're going to read. So that, when I say marketing is going to break with AI, that's what I see happening is how do you get the attention of your audience when they have no way of sifting through all of that craziness? And even if they do, because AI is actually going to help on the other side too, right? They're building tools where you can absorb big amounts of information, but that's an abstraction. And so now you're getting farther and farther away from your clients. That's an issue that the world is going to have when it comes to marketing. And I don't know exactly the solution to that, but I do know one thing, David. Meaning is right at the center of it. Because if you can find a way, set aside the tactics, set aside the technology, if you are solidly informed on your purpose and your meaning for your target clients, then your mission is to, over the next few years, find ways to share that with your clients that are meaning forward, right? They start with that purpose and that meaning, that generosity. And it's really more of what we talked about. That's how you're going to stand out. It's not going to be by creating 10 times more blog posts. I can tell you that right now.
Amen. Amen times 10. Now, you have also done a brilliant job at productizing your services. So these are client specific, situation specific, and problem specific. Could you kind of walk us through the different investable opportunities of how you work with your clients?
Sure. Back to my deliverable, which is marketing engines. I help businesses build marketing engines. I have services that are all related to getting that done for different sizes, companies, different time frames, different depth. My go-to, my kind of flagship offering is called Marketing GPS, and it's a 9-month, 3-stage marketing engine build. G stands for goals, which is that strategy. Like, what are we doing here? What can marketing do for us and what can't it do for us, right? That's a 3-month sprint. And then P is for programs, and that's where we build the engine. Like, what campaigns are we going to do? What people do we need? How are we going to get this done, right? And what's the right budget for us to do? What's our priorities? All those things, that's building that engine. And then the final 3 months is systems. And that is, how do we make this thing run and run and run? Because marketing's about consistency and repeating, right? And reinforcing. So that's Marketing GPS, 9 months. And then once we're done, sometimes I hand them the keys and say, congratulations, because we've been training them along the way, all the people on the team, so they can run their engine. And then sometimes I stay on board as a growth partner to help them because they're scaling their business, their market is changing, and what they need for marketing in 6 months is going to be different than what they need when we finish the engine, right? So that's, I'll call it my mainstream engagement. I also have Marketing RPM, which is a 3-month version of that 9-month process, which is the fastest way to build a marketing engine for a startup or a smaller company, smaller tech company. And it's kind of the greatest hits from the 9-month process that gets them a baseline marketing engine, same process. And then I also have CMO on call services and growth partner services. And those are me as an advisor for the business, being available and helping with quarterly strategies and upskilling of the marketing team, advising the CEO so that they can be smarter about marketing. And these things we've talked about, these best practices kind of get absorbed into the culture.
Amazing. Really, really great. And, it's different. It's almost like, I hate to simplify it this way, but it's a big compliment. It's like the Goldilocks strategy, right? It's like depending on who they are, depending on what they're coming in with, this bowl of porridge is too small. This bowl of porridge is too big. This bowl of porridge is just right. So big company needs, big bowl of porridge or big goals or big aggressive growth plan. That's probably going to indicate, big bowl of porridge. Medium, small. So it's not one size fits all. And it's tailored to where they are today, where they want to go, and how fast they want to get there, correct?
Correct. That's exactly right.
I love that. And it's so crystal clear. Tell us also, as we're kind of landing the plane here, if people were to take one overarching concept from our entire far-ranging, fantastic conversation about meaningful marketing and what that means and what that does for a B2B tech company, what would you hope that overarching takeaway concept would be?
I think I'll go back to say that your prospects need a reason to engage with you in their busy lives, especially if they don't know you. But even if they do know you, the way to get their attention, the way to engage is to connect your purpose with their needs. And that's got to be the priority. And that comes before you sign up for any marketing tactic, before you invest in a team. Ideally, you're focused on what's that magic connection that's meaningful to them and is aligned with our purpose.
So good. So good. I know that people are going to want to get connected and stay connected to more Pete Steege brilliance. Where can we send people? What resources, what gifts, what links shall we put into the show notes?
The easiest way to reach me is on LinkedIn. You can also visit my website. You mentioned it, b2b-clarity.com, and connect with me there. I also have a book, as you mentioned, On Purpose, The CEO's Guide to Marketing with Meaning. You can find that on Amazon. And I have a free resource for anybody that would like it. It's on the website. So if you go to b2b-clarity.com CEO Guide, you can pick up a copy of the CEO's Pocket Guide to Marketing. It's a 6-step process where you can kind of simply figure out how to add meaning to your marketing and grow your business. At least get started on that. One last thing, I have a YouTube channel. There's 130 some videos there, short 3 to 5 minute videos that are targeted at providing some ideas for founders and CEOs.
Love it. So much good stuff. Links to all of the below are going to be directly under this episode at thesellingshow.com. Pete Steege, you are a rock star. It's such a pleasure always to talk with you. Thank you for sharing your brilliance with us today.
Thanks, David.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.